not public hearing, special planning, economic development, and housing virtual committee meeting. The committee meeting can be viewed on our HPA-TV Comcast and Frontier Government Channel 96 and 6032. The meeting is also streamed via HPA-TV.org and via HPA-TV, HPA-TV Facebook, and all the apps from Amazon to Roku, Apple. The meetings can be viewed there. And the actual virtual committee meeting will also be rebroadcast and made available on HPA YouTube channel. So, good evening again. My name is Councilman Shirley Surge, and I'm the co-chair of the Planning, Economic Development and Housing Committee. We have committee member co-chair John Gale. We also have Councilwoman Marilyn Rossetti here with us, and we also have our attorney that represents the committee meeting, Attorney Vassallo. We have Jeff Alker, which is our Development Services Director. We have our assistant. I'm not sure, Mike, what's your title?
I'm Director of Blight Remediation, which is a division within uh, Development Services.
I know what we are, right? And we have our other License Inspection Director. Are you still licensed? No, Michael, you're License Inspector. Judith, you are?
Deputy Director of Development Services.
Oh, Deputy Director of Development Services. When did that change?
The last summer that changed, and I thank you very much. And I also oversee L&I still, license and inspection.
Oh, awesome. Well, you need to talk to your director because he never sent around a note to let us know that you got promoted to Deputy Director, which I think is a great idea. You brought such a wealth of information and knowledge to the city. So thank you so very much for sticking with us through some really tough times also. Also, we have our division director also, our William, is that you, William Diaz? Is that you? Yep, that's you. That's here. And let's see if anybody else, if I don't recognize anyone else, my screen is not big. And we also have Naisha McCauley, assistant to the Planning, Economic Development and Housing Committee. We have a few items on the agenda we need to get through, but to be as efficient as possible, I am willing to consider a motion to postpone two items, items 2.1 and 2.2. 2.1, the committee is still being formed regarding the bike lane, and items 2.2, the relocation ordinance is still being worked on. Do I have a motion?
Move to postpone both items 2.1 and 2.2 until the next agenda of this committee.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and second to postpone items 2.1 and 2.2 to the next PDH committee meeting. All right, so that cleans up the agenda.
We'll take a vote, Madam Chair.
Oh, that's right. I do need to take a vote, don't I? I figured, we're anonymous. So do we have how do we vote on the postponement of 2.1 and 2.2? Any discussion? No discussion. Any abstention? And okay, so the ayes have it, including Shirley. Ayes have it, so postpone 2.1 and 2.2. Item on the agenda, we have some appointments to the Hartford Housing Authority. The first item is items 2.3. It's a resolution from Mayor Arulampalam confirming the appointment of Grace, and if Grace yells at me for messing up her name, Bragwine, to the Hartford Housing Authority Board as a commissioner. And this item was on the agenda from January 12, 2026. Is Grace here? I think I saw Grace.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go, Grace.
I'm here.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the Planning, Economic Development, and Housing Committee for having me here tonight. If I can give just a really brief introduction about myself and my background, I've been a Hartford resident for going on 4 years now. I currently reside in the neighborhood of Frog Hollow across from the Story and Soil coffee shop, which I go to very often. My professional background is that I am a government relations professional. Currently, I work at the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, covering the policy areas of healthcare and housing. Prior to that, I served as the lobbyist for Connecticut Association of Realtors for 2 years, where my policy expertise was just in real estate. And something very unique about that role was that I was actually sent to real estate school. I don't have my license, but I did the full 60-hour pre-licensing training that all real estate agents go through. So I'm very excited to be appointed as a commissioner for the Hartford Housing Authority, and I'm very excited to use my expertise to make a sustainable and tangible impact for those living in city-owned properties. So thank you so much for having me tonight.
Oh, thank you, Grace. I think you answered all my questions. In the first, I was going to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us the reason why you want to be commissioner on the Hartford Housing Authority. But I think you said all that.
Well, kind of jumped the gun. I apologize.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. You're fine. I just want to make sure I didn't mangle your name, your last name. If you could help me pronounce that properly.
Sure, it's Brangwyn.
Brangwyn. Okay, great. Then I am going to open the floor up to any of my colleagues who would like to ask, talk with you regarding your appointment.
Madam Chair.
Go to Councilwoman Rossetti. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Grace, I think we've met before during the Courtney campaign, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to say this to both Grace and Joanne to combine it so I don't have to take too long. As someone who served on the Housing Authority of the City of Hartford for 10 years and served as chair, it was probably one of the most rewarding times of some of my professional career. I admire people who want to do that. It is just, it's a lot of work, it's important work, and it's very gratifying. And I am thankful that people are stepping up. And I want to thank you for taking the time, because I always say I know people could be doing anything else. Both your resumes are very impressive. So thank you for giving your time to the City of Hartford. And I am done, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. And do take, you're welcome, Councilman Rossetti. How long were you on the Housing Authority for, Councilman Rossetti?
10 years.
So you see, she speaks from absolute knowledge base that she's given 10 years to the Housing Authority, and then she decided to run for office. So here we are now. Councilman Gale.
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, I have a couple of comments. And again, I'll address my comments to both at this point, and welcome any feedback from either Grace or Joanne at this time. First, let me second everything that Councilwoman Rossetti said. Let me also note that if while you're serving on the Housing Authority, it occurs to you that council can be useful in some way, that some ordinance needs to change, some policy needs addressing, please, by all means, our door is open. Get back, talk to me, talk to Councilwoman Rossetti, Councilwoman Surgeon, happy to, we're all here to keep the boat headed in the same direction, right? Want to make sure we can collaborate to the extent that we can. Second, and this gets very specific, I want to mention two very specific things that have been problematic for me that will involve you. And they both involve the two housing projects that the Housing Authority, the two most recent projects that they've embarked on. One is still under construction, the one at the Park River. The other one is potentially could be under construction, but is not. That's the old Bulls Park is how we know it. Frankly, I've forgotten what the new name of it is, but this is development that's along Granby Street, across from the Cronin soccer field there. That development, when it was presented to council, was presented as a mixed-use development. Something that, you know, I think there's been a lot of discussion in the field of some of the ways in which in the past, while we might have been well-meaning, we may have created problems by having, you know, housing where 100% of the units are income restricted in a very large area. You may not be helping yourself or the people that live there. And so this complex is, at least in theory, a mixed income complex. And it was supposed to include, you know, there was supposed to be such a good mix that it was going to include single family homes. And what's happened, and you'll see it if you haven't already, everything got built except the single family homes. So the developer went in and put up all the townhouses, all the stuff they could make money at. And when it got to doing the last phase, and frankly, I don't recall, you know, I believe that project had development in, you know, what was called phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So this may be phase 4, never happened. And so what we're looking at now is a bunch of vacant land on Granby Street that was supposed to have single family houses. It was supposed to complete the streetscape, if you will. This is in the middle of, you know, one of the best residential districts in the entire city. The Blue Hills is perhaps our stablest and economically best neighborhood in the city. So that's a little, you know, it's a little upsetting to me. I don't know exactly what you could do about it, but I want to make sure that the two of you going into this are aware of these kinds of things and think about it. Think about, you know, if we're going to get into contracts with people, if there's going to be something new, I hope you do get some new stuff going.
Yep.
Think about ways in which we can get all parts of what we were promised. I have a second thing I want to talk about, but I see Councilwoman Rossetti.
I just want to weigh in on that for a minute, Councilman Gale.
Go for it.
As someone who was there when we put that project together, and you're right, it was in phases, and that was going to be home ownership in that piece. And I know, at least I knew from a few years ago, the Housing Authority was very disappointed when timing wise and some of the financing fell apart around that home ownership piece. I do believe their intent is to still have home ownership. There's been a couple of projects that have been brought to them to try to see what would work financing wise, but I don't think it was purposely left off, and I can't speak to the developer's intent, but it was certainly the intent of the Housing Authority that would complete the project, and it was an important part of the project, and I know home ownership still is for them. So I'm not trying to say where it is now because I don't know fully, but I kind of just wanted to give them that at least. Thank you.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I think that the moral of the story is there any way we could have done it better? Maybe there isn't, but you know, I challenge you to think about these things. Is there a way that this could be done to rather ensure that the end result actually occurs? Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the project that's under construction right now, where we have a very similar situation. This project includes commercial development on Albany Avenue. Again, I don't know if you're both familiar with the site. There's been substantial construction, beautiful construction, mind you. I mean, I love both of these projects, don't get me wrong. Housing Authority's done a great job. I love the development there. I love the fact that they have these cute little streets. You know, this is all great. But the last part of that project is supposed to be commercial development on Albany Avenue. In an attempt to provide a gateway to Albany Avenue, which economically has suffered tremendously over the years. And, you know, this has been looked at as some ability to start bringing some development to that part of Albany Avenue and go over the crest there to Westbourne Parkway and start to go down Albany Avenue. Well, I know from discussions we've had, the developer has been here in front of council before and has explained to us the problems with commercial development, that they've been unable to find tenants. I think specifically they were looking for an anchor tenant, you know, one large tenant, and then that can help offset the costs if you're unable to fill all the smaller developments. But again, I right now, what I think we're looking at is they're going to complete all of the housing and the commercial development is going to languish. Hopefully not, but I'm just planting the seed with you so that, you know, it's something that you go into this and you're aware of, and you can ask some questions maybe, and you know, see first where it's at, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they found an anchor tenant, which would be great news. But secondly, just to familiarize yourself with the challenges of these things, and you know, we like bringing in new blood. New blood means new ideas. New ideas means maybe we change up the way we do things, and that's not a bad thing. So anyway, thank you, Madam Chair, and those are my comments. Thank you both.
Thank you, Councilman Gillen. Thank you, Councilman Rossetti, for clarifying and help making sure we have, you know, information. I just want to say, Grace and to Joanne, we welcome anyone who would like to volunteer and work on behalf of the residents of the city of Hartford. This is an endeavor that, you know, we try to get as many people involved as possible, and you're stepping up to the plate is heartfelt appreciation for doing so. This is a great commission to be on, and also you have a great director who's very well organized, if I may say so, and you know, that will, you know, guide you through all the development that's going to come on board going into the future. So thank you both for doing this. I am going to Councilman Gale, if you don't mind, if I will have Joanne talk a little bit about herself before we before we take a vote in both items.
Of course.
Okay, Joanne, welcome, Joanne Guzman, and welcome again. Tell us a little about yourself and why would you like to be on the Hartford Housing Authority?
Hi, everyone. So I've been born and bred in Hartford. I've lived here all my life around the same neighborhood behind the rocks. I am a current town committee member. I live in a condo association where I am president and also treasurer of the association. Been doing that since 21. I am also a realtor. Been doing that since 22. So I like to get involved, try to help out where I can. A lot of the residents in the area know me. I do a lot of work with the elderly who reside at Bacon Congregate as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Well, thank you for volunteering to do this. Councilman Rossetti or Councilman Gale?
I have no other questions
Okay.
except to second what we said earlier and what you've said, Madam
Okay.
Chair. To thank you for stepping up and appreciate your willingness to serve.
Councilman Rossetti? Any other comments? Or you
Same,
just
no, same. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. So thank you guys so very much. We have to make two different motions, you know, for items for both Grace and Joanne. So I am open for a motion.
You want a separate motion for each? Is that what I understood?
Yes, please.
All right. So we'll make a separate motion for Grace Brangwyn to send her nomination to the Hartford Housing Authority back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Right. The motion's been made and properly second to send favorable back to the overall council meeting, a favorable recommendation appointing Grace Brandwain to the Hartford Housing Authority. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Any abstention? Seeing or hearing none, the motion passes as in favor of sending back to overall council the recommendation of appointing Grace Brandwain to the Hartford Housing Authority. Okay, next item.
Okay, I would now like to make a motion to send the appointment of Joanne Guzman to the Hartford Housing Authority back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Good. The motion has been made and properly second to send back to the overall council a favorable recommendation appointing Joanne Guzman to the Hartford Housing Authority. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing no discussion, any opposition, any abstention? Seeing none. Those in favor of sending back to council overall favorable recommendation to appoint Joanne Guzman to the Hartford Housing Authority. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition, any abstentions? Seeing and hearing none. The item passes, and I want to welcome again and thank Joanne and Grace for wanting to volunteer to serve the residents of the city of Hartford. So welcome. And then thank you. These two items, both your appointments, will be sent back to our overall council meeting, which will be February 23rd, I think it is. When is the next council meeting? Such as, February 23rd, that will be Monday. And that's at that point, the overall council will vote on the appointment of both you, Joan, and Grace to the Hartford Housing Authority. Again, thank you so very much for wanting to volunteer. Please, don't feel like you have to run off and leave if you don't have to. Stay with us and you can hear other items on the agenda for tonight. So again, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 2.5. It's a resolution from Mayor Arulampalam authorizing the city to accept a grant from the State of Connecticut Department of Economic Development and Community, DECD, for the remediation services. And that was on the agenda from February 9th. Recommendation from the mayor. Who do we have from Development Services to talk on this item?
Council President, I'm going to talk on that. William Diaz, Assistant Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. The floor is yours, sir.
So typically when prior to entering into these agreements, usually there's a geotechnical test that's done. We were eager to close on this project a few years ago. So when the geotechnical investigations were done after the fact, which is basically determines the structural stability, making sure that the dirt can withstand the weight of the building that's going to be put in there. So when the test was actually performed after the closing, there were poor soil conditions, which dictated that we had to do additional remediation and get rid of additional contaminated dirt. So by that happening, it increased the project budget. So we went in to DCD to request $1 million, which we were awarded, and this money will cover additional testing and disposal of the of dirt in the area. And assuming that the dirt is similar to some of the other ones that were found on site, there should be more than enough money to complete the remediation component of the project.
Did you say what project this was for?
I'm sorry. This is for the Albany Woodland project. I'm sorry.
Thank you so very much for mentioning that. And do you have anything to add, Director Alker? Are you good with that explanation?
I am very good with that explanation. It was welcome money for something that we couldn't have anticipated. The system working the way the system should work.
Awesome. Any questions or concern from Councilman Rossetti or Councilman Gale?
Yeah, I have a question, if I may.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Thank you. It's not really a question about this project. It's a question about the procedure in general. And I think I've brought this up before, Mr. Diaz. You and I may have discussed this. There's this fella that owns Dunn's River has bought the parcel up at 3400 Main Street, if I'm not mistaken. And my understanding was that he got financing. He was ready to start constructing. Wants to put up a restaurant, potentially a sit-down restaurant with a West Indian menu, something that we don't really have in a big way on a piece of property that's been sitting there undeveloped for quite some time. But he ran into this remediation business, which wasn't part of his original budget. And I think most recently he showed me that, who was it, Freeman Companies came up with an estimate of
320.
There you go. Thank you. So, so I see that here, you know, we're working with a private developer to get the brownfields money to help this project move forward. And I'm just wondering, how does that, you know, when Mr. Brown reaches out to me for constituent services, what do I say to Mr. Brown on his property? Is there anything the city can do to help move his project forward?
Well, in that particular case, it's a little bit more complex. This is a building that's going to have public use eventually, and it was city owned. That the properties were city owned at the time. That being said, I'm not sure if this brownfields program would suffice for the Duns River project. But I've been actually have the quote in front of me. I've made some calls trying to figure out how and who can I go to try to assist it. You know, because obviously I think this is important for the community. We want the restaurant to stay in Hartford, and you know it might not be from DCD, but there may be other avenues that we can research and try to assist the new owner of the property.
So this is something that we do. When these problems arise, we do attempt to see if there's some solution.
Yeah, we're always willing to work with developers, see what but obviously there's several programs out there. Like I said, I made some phone calls trying to figure out what's beneficial, what works for that type of business, for that type of environment.
Well, appreciate it, and you know, thank you for all that, all the good work. It's been, you know, such a tough uphill battle at times to, you know, essentially redevelop our city. You know, a city that was all built out, and now we're going through round 2 and round 3 in some cases, and then these kinds of roadblocks get thrown up, and it can get a little frustrating. But I certainly appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome, sir. So I think I inquired with Mr. Ocker today. Would this setback for the remaining of the remediation, would this setback the development of ribbon cutting? How far back would this set us back for this?
For Albany Woodland, this has no impact on the timeline.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
it's still
that said, I want to be clear. We just spent 4 hours with everybody involved, CRDA, Grow America, the PAC Group, who's a general contractor, the city, everybody's lawyers in the room. We're hammering through exactly what the numbers are. We're well within tolerances. There's just, because this deal is complex about the different funding sources and then who can access the money when and all that, we just had a level set, get everything done. We'll have a report back in the next meeting on exactly where we are with exactly what LOIs are in place. But we owe that to you, and we should have a pretty good story to tell next time we meet. But we want to get this down to the penny and the date.
Okay, that's excellent. So, you know, City Council, of course, you know, it all depends on what the committee does in the next few minutes. And we, you know, should we favorably send this on to City Council to accept these funds, when will the remediation start? Or is it, you know, waiting for the funds to come in from the state? How does this going to work? I don't want to hold any process up.
William, do you want to handle this one?
Yeah, so actually we just discussed this maybe an hour ago. The good thing is that they don't, with everything that's going on in the project, they probably won't start testing that part of the soils for at least 90 days. So we anticipate that, you know, hopefully by then we have an executed agreement with the state of Connecticut, so we can access those funds. So when the tests come back, maybe, you know, so they start testing 90 days from now, you know, give it a month or two or a month to get the results. Then within 4 months we can start hauling the contaminated dirt out of the site. So
okay, so that's like put us when we're now in February, so we're in March. So you said 90 days?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about May, June by the time you finish testing and, you know, continue construction?
Yeah, that's the goal, to get it out of there And then like there's another pile of dirt that's gonna go out first. That's already been tested, and it's we're finalizing the agreement of where we're sending the contaminated dirt to, and then we assume that this is going to be similar, and we're trying to probably use the same facilities as that one.
Okay. So do we, I'm sorry, we have somebody hired already to start doing this.
Well, not contractually, but we already have quotes and trying to finalize that paperwork.
The only reason I'm asking is, you know, by the time you get back to DECD, you know, and they funnel the $1 million to the city, you know, hopefully not holding, you know, holding up any monies from DECD to make sure this happens. So just trying to make sure that, you know, we can start contracting out and getting this thing done as soon as possible.
Yeah. So the DECD grants are typically reimbursable. So as soon as we have the assistance agreement, we can set up a budget code, and then, you know, they will work on getting the money back from the state as the expenditures are.
Oh, did not know that. Thank you for clarifying that. So basically, since the grant, we are using our monies for right now and then get reimbursed back from the state. Okay, excellent.
Right.
Thank you for letting us know that. That's it for my question. I'm happy to see the project going. Any other questions, concerned from Councilman Gale or Councilwoman Rossetti? Seeing or hearing none, I am open for a motion for items 2.5.
Move to send this back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Motion's been made. Thank you. And properly second to send back with a favorable recommendation, accepting the field grant at the next council meeting. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention, any opposition? Seeing and hearing none. The motion passed to send back to the overall council meeting a February recommendation accepting the monies for the Browns Field grant. So thank you guys very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Diaz, for being here for us. Boy, we're really on time. We're going to get before 7. So the next item on the agenda is any update communication from the Department of Development Services regarding 110 Washington Street Center, Warming Center.
Yes, I can take that one.
Thank you.
Councilwoman. So the important part of that is what's, you know, where are we in the process of facilitating the build and the location of new shelters moving forward, since 110 has been approved to be sold to a developer for the medical worker housing. That's where we are. So progress has been made. As you guys know, we put forth one approach to special permitting in the MX1 back in the fall. That one did not pass muster on various levels. What we've been doing is trying to find that balance between making a process that's too easy and does not give the neighborhood and the residents proper notification or a chance to voice their opinions on things. That would be one end if we did it by right. On the other end, if you make it a special permit and don't do it properly, it becomes very easy to defeat, almost de facto. So, you know, there's always a way to block it. So finding that middle ground is what we're after. There is a proposal that is being worked through the P&Z right now. It got presented at P&Z last month. It got kicked to a committee. That committee has been serving as a very collaborative working group with the city. I know Owen and that gang had a meeting with them on Friday, a working session to work through the details of how this could work, because it gets fairly technical with the ZBA and things like that. There have been discussions with some of the neighborhood groups preliminarily. This is not intended to be the formal notice process at the moment. We're just trying to understand. So what gets up to the P&Z in the next meeting, hopefully, will be something that everybody understands where it works, how it works, and then we can do that would go from P&Z back to the council. So it's tedious, it's incredibly important, and we have to hit that right balance best we can. And I think we've got everybody that should be weighing in. And as soon as P&Z gives us something that's technically feasible and that fits the ordinances and the rules, that should be coming to council as soon as it clears P&Z.
Great. I know, Councilman Rossetti, you were tasked with working with the city regarding making sure the warming centers were up and going. Everything is okay there?
Yeah, no, the city has been very mindful, following, lead from the state on when to be open. They're very mindful that they were close to a bus line. The way it was set up, we had numerous discussions. It's working as well as a warming center works. Washington Street was good, but I really appreciate that workforce housing is going into Washington Street. So, and as I've said to people who've approached me about the mixed use issue, I said, listen, we're either going to build more shelter. That doesn't dismiss, someone took me to task that shelter isn't the solution, which we know that. But we're either going to build more shelter. We don't want encampments. We need some place to go. Or towns can participate and add 5 beds per town. If they did, we would have a solution and we wouldn't be looking at mixed use. But, tragically, our colleagues in other towns, for whatever reason, aren't doing that. And we will do it well, like we always do. We will do it in a way that's efficient and with pride. And we will, when people often say, and I'm not going to be on a soapbox much longer, but when people often say, what does Hartford do for us? We give you a top-notch fire department, police department, safe streets. We house your homeless. We do your social services. So that's what we do for you. We have your colleges, our hospitals, and state buildings, which aren't taxed. So don't get me going. But thank you, Director Ocker, Will, and others who've been very helpful in the warming center. I got off track. Sorry, could not.
Okay, so basically, so we don't need to have this item on the agenda of, getting any more update. Everything is working good. All right, so
And we promise to tell you if anything changes.
I'm sure you will let Councilman Rossetti know, who would let us know. Because she is the point person from council, regarding that item. So we're good there. Nothing to approve. And the next item on our agenda.
Let me just say, Madam Chair, that I like it.
Go ahead.
I like it when Councilwoman Rossetti gets on her high horse. So
Okay, Councilman Gale, I'm going to remind you of that.
Anytime.
Next time on a high horse.
Anytime.
Hey, alrighty.
Oh, go Meryl. That rooting for you.
Well, Grace, we get extremely involved. Grace is still with us. This is very, the council members and the city really take these things to heart and personal to make sure that we provide the services to the Hartford resident or whoever comes into the city who doesn't live here before, as Councilman Rossetti says. So Grace is still listening with us. All right, so we're good, and I'll have need to take that off of the agenda going forward. Then the next item on the agenda is item 2.7. It's a presentation from the Department of Development Services, License and Inspection Division, and we have Deputy Director now. He's Deputy Director, no longer Division Director, but Deputy Director, Judith Rothschild. Welcome, Deputy Director Child. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee, Councilwoman Rossetti and Councilman Gale. And those in viewing, I'm very happy to present a presentation to you on the Development Services, Licenses and Inspection Division, and honored to have with me Director Michael Perez, who will be presenting also on the Blight Remediation Division. Because we work so closely together, it seemed to be the most important thing that we could give to you and to the people is a representation of what's going on in DDS in regards to improvement of our city conditions relative to housing and blight, both. So we did present a PowerPoint. I don't know if that's something that you'd like me to try to share, or?
I think you can. Just let me just say, Deputy Director, that at the PDNH committee meeting, at least once a month, we try to get different divisions. Councilman Gill has been after me to make sure this happens, that we get different divisions to come in and give a presentation of where the division, which works very closely with the PDNH committee. I believe you can share if you try. Let me see if that works.
Right.
We're not seeing anything yet. Oh,
Yep,
there we
you're
go.
good.
Okay,
They're good.
good. Very good. All right. Well, this is the presentation, and what I want to just let you know up front that the period of time that I'm giving you reports and numbers pertaining to is actually 6 quarters, starting from July 1 of 2024 through December 31 of 2025. So fiscal year 2025 in full, plus the first 2 quarters of 2026, fiscal year 2026. The Division of Licenses and Inspections first, just to set forth the perimeters of my portion of tonight's presentation, is made up of 4 different units, if you will. The Building and Trades unit, which is the building inspectors, and they handle all the inspections of construction, rehabilitation, remodeling, and also violations of the building code are inspected by that unit, and enforcement of building code violations is by that unit. Licenses and permits in regards to building permit applications, also in regards to the permitting of vendors and any other licenses that the city issues in its normal course of business under the ordinances. Housing code enforcement is the enforcement team for our municipal housing code, and the rental licensing program is specific to the enforcement of our rental license program, also a municipal ordinance provision enacted by the council a few years back. And I have updates on all of these for you, proceeding to the next page. And if you have questions, please feel free to stop me at any time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Some big news, we have a few very new and great improvements going on with the city in regards to development services. One of the things that is important to the mayor and important to you all, and we understand this, is the ability of the city to process permits on building code applications and bring them from the point of an idea of someone's project through a certificate allowing them to use it under the law with building code okayed, along with fire marshal and the health department and any other divisions. And we have heard that our system has been at times challenging to some of our users. So we have improved our permitting system. What you see on this slide is a couple of things. The main thing is the big one on the right. There is a new application portal in our Acela software system, which allows someone to go in and submit an application. And if they need advice and guidance on how to submit that application, this is in effect a wizard, which will guide them through that process, allowing them to choose the right application so that time is not used going in the wrong direction on an application, and take them step by step through the process, and the answers that they give are actually inputted for them by the system directly into the proper application for submittal. It's only been in effect for less than 6 months. We've been getting very good feedback from the public that it's helpful. It's found easily from our Department of Development Services website, which is indicated up on the top left of this slide. And all you need to do is scroll down and you see it circled, apply for building and trades permits, and it will lead you directly to the portal. So good news for permitting process. We also have a couple of other things going on that are state of the art and very exciting. We are looking towards the use of AI to assist our flow of permitting regulation once the application comes in. So internally, we do a better job at transferring information from the applicant into our review system between the different plan review divisions, and we are able to communicate to the applicant better, faster, and in a more organized fashion with the assistance of AI. And we are also looking into the use of AI to assist with plan review process. So we're not taking away anybody's position. We need our plan reviewers. We need our permitting staff. who are skilled and able to handle this, but it will improve the manner in which we produce and the speed in which we can produce the results that the applicant needs to move forward on their project. So
I
we're
got a
very,
question, Judith, before you
Yes.
keep going. So
Yes.
basically, I want to put a new porch on to my house, right? And I would, go into your DDS, go to this website, go to apply for building and trade and permits to put this porch I want to build.
Mhm.
And then through that, I'm telling the system that I want to build a porch. So at some point, it'll tell me, does it tell me what my steps are, that I need to do to build this porch?
Yes, it will tell you what type of permit you need, that you need a building permit for a porch, and it will tell you what we need from you in order to take in your application, including the fee, including what sort of drawings or plans, depending on the size of your project. A small porch, probably just drawings that we would need from you to be submitted with the application. It would explain what you need to get it through the door. If you're using a contractor, it would ask you to provide us, please, the contractor information with their license number. Your contractor might need to show proof of insurance for workers' compensation. It will tell you all these pieces that we would ask you to provide to us so that the application could be accepted and as fully implemented to us. So we're ready to take it and then start our review process. So it will piecemeal that out for you. Yes.
Okay, so, when they're getting, it's telling me I need all this. I don't have a design plan as yet. Does it put me into do I save it? Because at that point, it's telling me I don't know in advance all the things I need. So
Right.
once I apply, it's telling me all these things I need. I don't have everything. Do I save it so I can come back later?
So when you get into the system, you first open an account in Acela. So once you do that, you can start an application. And I believe you can save where you are in that application process and come back and complete it later. There's certain things we can't accept the application without, so it won't be in our system on a track towards review yet, but I believe you can come back and you can pick up where you left off.
Okay.
So that's our system, and that's our improvement plan for our systems even still. And in the meanwhile, we certainly are a very busy division of the city, as you well know, but just let's put that into some sort of numbers for you. Staff-wise, I'm just letting you know on each screen who we have for our staff members as far as the number of people, and also the number of building permit applications filed, building permits issued during this 6-quarter period, the amount of permit fees collected by the department in licenses and inspection for projects, over $12 million in that period of time. We also processed business licenses and issued those licenses and collected another $77,000 in license fees. We also have a weights and measures division. So every gas pump in the city, every scale used to measure any food product in the city is visited by our single weights and measures inspector and weighed out and tested to make sure the public is getting what they're paying for. On to the building and trades. First, let me just point out, Inspector Martinez is pictured on the front page of the presentation looking at the city, but in this particular portrayal, he's speaking to the viewer. Development Services has been putting out a series of public portrayals of the different activities of development services on a weekly basis through several platforms. This particular one, Inspector Martinez, I took off of Facebook, Development Services webpage for Facebook, which anyone could visit and see all of the various pieces that have gone up about the various divisions within Development Services. I have a special like to this one, Inspector Martinez talking about, how are you doing? I'm a building inspector for the city of Hartford. Welcome to the city of Hartford, letting people know that we are here to help, and our job is here to help you get your projects done, and in a very positive way of representing Development Services and the city of Hartford to the viewers. We're getting a lot of great response from these sorts of advertisings, so I wanted to point that out to you. Also, a very, very busy group of people. Our chief of building and trades and building official. We have 7 Inspector 2s right now, which is full staff as of current allotment of staff for inspectors, Inspector 2s, which are building inspectors, such as Inspector Martinez. And we have 2 building plan examiners in that department. And in 6 quarters, we've reviewed over 7,500 building plans and conducted over 14,000 inspections at building sites, issued 28 certificates of occupancy, which is what's needed for new construction, additions, or changes of use, and over 1,700 certificates of approval, which is similar to COs, but that's what's used for everything but new construction, additions, and changes of use. So very proud to give you those figures. Moving on to housing code enforcement. So the built environment is our building team. The occupants, the tenants that live in our city and the owners that house them is the focus of the housing code enforcement team. We have a full staff. That's not true. I'm sorry. We have 1 opening right now in housing code enforcement. We have a chief. We have a team leader who's also an inspector. And we have 13 positions for housing code. 1 is available right now that just closed for a new person. And I'm also proud to tell you that the reason we have an opening in housing code is because one of our housing code inspectors took and passed the class to become a licensed building official last year, and he's now a member of our building inspection team, which is a very exciting thing for him and also for us. We also have a senior administrative assistant and an administrative assistant running this big team, which has been responding to complaints in the last 6 quarters. Almost 3,000 housing code complaints received from people in the city of Hartford, and inspections close to 9,000, notices of violation issued 1,800, citations if they're not complied with have been issued, and also in cases of emergency where the property is not safe to stay occupied, notices to vacate have issued 357 in that time, and so on. So we are about safety. We are about quick response along with the building officials. If we find violations, they're posted on the property. You can see a picture of one of those postings. Written orders are issued, they're served, and they're followed up on by housing code enforcement in big, big numbers. I can also let you know, I asked for a rundown this morning of how many emergency calls the housing team has had in just the last, since October 1. And they have responded to 681 emergency calls just since October 1. And that's generally no heat, no water or hot water, bursted pipes, electric is out, things like that. 681 being handled by 12 inspectors from the housing division. So it's a life safety team, and we do always appreciate the support of the city council, and I'm sure the tenants do too. We are busy. At the same time, it looks like our rental license program and the number of inspectors we have on staff are allowing us to see a reduction in the calls coming in for normal complaints. So what you see on the screen now is a comparison of fiscal years 23, 24, and 25, where the calls have been slowly decreasing. And that's what we want to see. If we're getting out there proactively in the rental licensing program and doing inspections before a complaint has to come in, we are ordering the correction of violations we find in units that are being inspected proactively, and therefore the call may not ever need to come in to 311 or to the city any other way. So we hope to continue to see this trend, that our 311 and other calls coming in for housing code continue to decrease. And we do expect that. And lastly, for me, the rental licensing program, an update for you. At this point, as well, that's not true. As of December 31, this is a presentation through that date, we had 762 rental license building applications filed with the rental license program at DDS. Those are each buildings, not units. So tremendous amount of real estate that is rental property has applied for the program. We have 88 licenses that have been fully issued to date. Recognizing there's a very big gap between the amount of applications and the amount of actually issued licenses, let me try to explain. The process of getting a license remains a big process. Besides making the application and giving us the required documentation regarding the ownership, it's also required that the owner of the property arrange for complete inspection by housing code enforcement and by the fire marshal's office of each building in the rental license program. It's also reviewed for building code compliance, make sure there's no open violations or open permits relative to safe occupancy of the building. It's also issued and preliminarily issued, reviewed by planning and zoning to make sure that the use of the property that's being offered for a rental is a legal use, and also that's a legal use, and also the number of units that they're asking to have licensed are the authorized number of units at the property. So when a violation is found, it has to be corrected, and violations sometimes are difficult to handle quickly. So we are in the process of 507 of those applications currently being reviewed by either planning and zoning, which right now has 234 being reviewed. The building code division has 33 open, housing code 106, and the fire marshals have 134 as of December 31 that they're reviewing. So we can't cut out any of these inspections, or we won't be serving the public with the safety we are trying to give them by this program. They also have to provide us a lead safe analysis. So they have to get a lead risk analysis done by a state licensed person and prove to us that the place is lead safe on top of all these other inspections. And there are other requirements, but when we're done, when we license, all these things have been resolved, and the license is then good for 4 years. And in 4 years, the application comes back in and we do it all again. But if there's a problem in the interim of the 4 years, and certainly every year the fire marshal has an obligation to do an inspection, then we have certainly time, and it's our duty to go back into the property on any complaint. We've collected.
So Judy, before you continue, you came to council a couple months ago, maybe I think it's been a couple of months, and we extended because you have 507 rental applications you have to get through, and you think you're going to be able to get through all this by, I think we gave you until July, if I'm not mistaken.
So you gave us, Madam, till June 30th for the 4 to 9 unit building owners to timely apply. So we're going to have more applications coming in, and we do have a challenge. We have these 3 staff people. We have in our budget requested an additional staff person to join the team so that we can process these applications on internally better. And we've also asked for a new building inspector and an additional plan reviewer for the permit reviews. So it remains under the, well, let me say this. Everyone who has a 40 or bigger unit building has applied. That was the first tier. Everyone who has a 10 to 39 unit building has not applied, but the number is over 85% or 90 that have applied, and we're pursuing enforcement against the ones that haven't, which is what we're entitled to do under the housing code. It's the 4 to 9s where we still have a great group of applicants that have not come in yet, which is why we asked for the extension. So we are probably another 500 still need to apply in that group. So it is a lot, and they plow through it as best they can. But if we do not grant the license within, I think it's 60 days under the ordinance, it's deemed approved. So the owner's not in any hot water if we have to go through our process longer than that. So it's by default an approved application, which we will hope remains approved once they go through our entire process, but they need to bring it up to code.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it from L&I. And if I may, turn it over to Director Perez.
Well, before you go, any council members, Councilman Gale, Councilman Rossetti?
I'll wait till the end.
You're going to wait to the end? Okay.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you for having me, esteemed council members. I am the Director of Light Remediation, and in our team, we have a project manager, 3 inspectors who are also Inspector 2s, which means that they our 3 blight inspectors are licensed building officials. We also have 1 analyst. Right now, 2 of our blight inspectors are out surveying, doing a winter survey of the city. We're trying to make sure we have a handle on where all of the vacant buildings are in the city. It's valuable information that we use to sort of triage and share information with police and fire in terms of what buildings in the city are vacant. Based on last year's survey, that has been updated, as we engage in enforcement throughout the year. We're currently monitoring approximately 350 vacant buildings throughout the city. And when I say monitoring, we're tracking what work is going on in those properties, which have open permits, which are working with the city on projects with regard to those properties, and we're also using this spreadsheet that we're accumulating this information in to track our own enforcement with regards to the properties that haven't moved towards compliance after informal outreach. I can share that with you with the council. I can email it to you guys after the meeting. It's something we share with the NRZs, and we meet with them frequently to talk about problem properties in their specific areas. But we're happy to share that with you. It's an important tool that we use to keep an eye on what specifically is going on these properties. So like I said, we engage in, we try to engage in informal outreach first, and then if there's not any movement in the right direction, we follow up with formal orders, and then citations if necessary, and these can culminate into large fines, which have a high priority lien that can foreclose out other mortgages. We have
recording stopped.
we have seen an increase in the amount of fines this year as opposed to the previous 2 or 3 years, and that reflects sort of a policy pivot towards larger fines on properties which have sort of hit a dead end in terms of an owner or a responsible property a responsible party moving the property forward to get it renovated or to otherwise dispose of it in a way that moves the ball forward. So and the reasoning behind that is instead of foreclosing on smaller liens as a means of last resort, if there's no move towards compliance by the owner, then instead of forcing a foreclosure by sale, we can instead pursue a strict foreclosure and get site control. And this should align well with the MOU between the city and the land bank that's in the process of getting signed off on. We'll be ready to sort of open up the floodgates of properties in our inventory and transfer them to the land bank and other partners that can then go and responsibly turn these properties around. Other such property partners obviously are Habitat and NINA and SINA. But the land bank is going to play a big role in that as our inventory will continue to increase due to needing to acquire properties out of necessity because the current owners aren't doing anything to maintain the properties. So we've and in the past we've had mixed success with the smaller liens and forcing foreclosures by sale. Sometimes at those foreclosure auctions, which a new buyer will come in that's very responsible, that has a good track record. Other times, we have no control over who that next owner is. So we've had a mixed bag of success with the smaller liens. So we're in the process of pivoting towards getting larger liens that we can foreclose on and actually acquire these properties and get them in the hands of our economic development team to get them turned around or to plug them into a development strategy that is being formed. There's a lot of things that we do to sort of get these properties over the finish line. A lot of the properties on that are pictured on the following 2 pages are examples of properties where we've used intensive outreach and our enforcement protocol to sort of leverage owners into sort of basically doing the right thing. So for example, like 68 School Street, property was fire damaged many years ago, sat vacant for a long time. We loaded the property up with blight liens, initiated a foreclosure. During the foreclosure action, the owner found a buyer, and our liens allowed us to get a seat at the table to vet this buyer. It checked out that they had a good track record of development in the city, and so we entered into a forbearance agreement with them whereby we basically say if you purchase this property with these liens on them, we'll release them as soon as you fully renovate the property. And so we use those tools to turn that property into the after pick that you see here. There's one property on here. I think it's on the next page that's actually a land bank property. The city foreclosed on it because of blighted conditions, and 165 Capon, and that's an example of a property that we gave to the land bank, and then they turned around. One of the positives about getting properties in the hands of the land bank is, the land bank's then responsible for maintaining the properties until they get disposed of. And it takes pressure off of our DPW. It takes, it decreases the city's liability. If somebody slips on that sidewalk in the wintertime, they're not going to sue the city. But the land bank will have, because they have less properties in their inventory in the city, be more well situated to provide routine maintenance while the properties in their inventory are waiting to get this.
Oh, I think we lost you, Mike.
I know.
Nope, we still can't hear you.
How's this?
Yep, good.
Okay, so sorry about that. Another great program that our blight team partners with the assessor's office on is the tax deferral program on blighted properties. It's a good carrot to entice owners to pour money into their property. And we encourage almost all of the property owners that we work with that are engaged that are about to embark on a renovation to use that program. It's a program, the benefits of which are transferable to a subsequent owner over the 10 years that the program runs after the owner rehabilitates the property. And so, so for owner occupancy, it's a very good program in that it'll give that new owner occupant a break on taxes for 9 years after that renovation. That's usually important in getting that homeowner to be successful, especially if it's a first-time homeowner. So our another thing that's important to note is our process of enforcement is very heavily laden with legal notice requirements. It takes us a long time to have effective orders that were issued. By law, we have to wait till we get a returned green card or a returned undeliverable envelope that's declared undeliverable by the United States Postal Office. We pride ourselves on partnering with our colleagues across the city that bring tools to bear on quality of life issues, like the health department, like DPW. We're in daily contact with HHS's nuisance inspectors, with their rodent inspectors, and same with DPW solid waste inspectors. We're all attacking similar sort of conditions. Same with housing code. They deal with occupied properties that are being rented to tenants. I think one of the big hallmarks of success for the city over the past year or two has been an increased sort of level of communication across divisions and departments that allows us to collaborate a lot better in terms of addressing issues and sharing information and evidence that we're all out in the field collecting. It's sort of like a force multiplier. Our increased ability to communicate and liaise with each other. A lot of that has been due to using uniform database systems like Acela, which allows, for example, my blight inspectors, Judith's housing code inspectors, to see whether or not HHS has issued orders for something similar on a property that they're dealing with, or DPW. And so that's been integral. Having a uniform database across the various offices in the city that engage in code enforcement has been a real game changer, because we're not we can see what each other is doing. We can access orders that we've each issued. We can see where each of us have sent these orders. And it's an incredibly effective way to share information that before was a difficult hurdle for us. I know I've been rambling and I've covered a lot. Let me just stop there. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've covered or about any specific properties? And you guys can contact me offline at any time if you have questions about any specific property about any step in my process, I'd love to sort of extrapolate more.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Councilman Gale, Councilman Rossetti, do you have any questions for either Mike or Judith? I can't see
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just, a lot to take in. I
yeah.
just want to make a comment. Very well presented. Can will you send it
If you
to
can could you just lower the so I can't see anything away from the presentation, so I can't see you guys.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
So, yeah, as I said, a lot to take in. Very well done. Very well presented. Would love for it to be sent to us. And Mike, I may take you up on that. So thank you.
Me
And
too,
Judith,
Mike.
don't feel left out, but you're lucky if I don't want to take you up.
Councilman Gale.
Yeah, no, I'll have a couple of comments. Greatly appreciate the presentation by both, and greatly appreciate the work. And of course, is the better you get, then the more everybody's going to press for you to get even better, right? Just comes with the territory. So, couple of comments. One of the things that I hear back now from builders and contractors is the inspections. That they're really appreciative of the process of getting their building permits. They think this is splendid, but then when it comes to getting their project inspected, that doesn't seem to be quite as efficient. I had one guy last week come in. It was ranting and raving. Why doesn't the city have one person that is always there to answer the phone that will then schedule your inspections? Why do you have to individually get to whoever's been assigned to your permit to schedule your inspection, since those guys aren't in the office all day long? They just come in later in the day. So his suggestion was, there should be one dedicated person at L&I, picks up the phone. You need an inspection? Okay, we'll get it on so-and-so's calendar, and you run a master calendar. I don't know if any of this is actually doable, but with AI, I would think, and I applaud you for using AI. I think this is phenomenal. And, if you have the ability to talk to AI and say, let's design something where there's a master calendar for our 14 inspectors, or however many there are, 7 building inspectors. And so each one comes in the morning and they've got a calendar for the day that's already made up for them. And I, as the individual person taking out the permit, I don't have to chase down my inspector. I call, I say, I'm ready for an inspection. It gets on his calendar and it gets done. So I just throw that out to you. And another issue that people have raised with me is this, the process that so many inspections require both building and fire. And a number of people have raised, aren't these guys cross-trained? Why can't a building inspector, doesn't a building inspector really know everything that a fire inspector would know? So, then, yeah, okay, you got your building inspected on Monday, but now you're waiting till Friday or next week for the fire. So I don't know, I don't want to step on people's toes. I'm sure there's a lot of turf warfare when you get into these things, but it may be the kind of thing that we evolve into. I don't know what other towns do, but it may be that there's some ability over time to evolve to a system where much of what fire inspectors do can be done by a building inspector who's there with the same pair of eyes. The last comment I have is very small. I think that you also manage the parking lot license program, if I'm not mistaken, where we have just a very few operators who yearly, or I think it's a biannual fee. And last time I looked, it was some people paid $500 every 2 years, and some people paid, maybe it was $1,000 every 2 years, I forget. But we had it in mind in council at one point in time that the licensing for parking lots should be by parking space, not just, I think the way it's done right now, it's like if you have less than 50 cars or over 50 cars. So it's, just a very binary process. A process where you did it by parking space would, certainly seem like a fairer way of doing it. I think when we tried to do it, we started off being a little too aggressive, and it didn't go anywhere because the large parking lots were going to end up paying, you know, a lot more than $1,000 a year they've currently been paying. But anything could be structured where they wouldn't pay that much more, and it doesn't raise that much money to begin with. So it's not like, you know, from a council standpoint, we'd be looking for any change in the amount of money that's raised, just doing it in potentially a fairer way. But I would point out very strongly that when we did reval in 2019, I'm sorry, 2021, every parking lot downtown had a 25% reduction in their assessment. So these guys got a 25%. I checked all the big ones, and it was across the board, 25% reduction in their assessment. So I don't see that they can, and you know, okay, I get it. In 2021, they didn't have a lot of cars parking there, but it's now 2026, and we're pretty much back up to these parking lots being utilized on a pretty good clip. So they made out well over the last, it seems to me, they made out well over the last 5 years. I think it's time, you know, for these guys to maybe chip in a little bit more to the coffers. Anyway, I leave you with that. I thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilman Gale. My comment to both Judy and Mike, thank you very much. The presentation was very well done and very educational, more than anything else. Kind of gives me an idea of what's going on. So a couple questions or a couple statements. Judy did tell me, you know, she's using the time for the inspection, the license inspection, so that's good. I'm glad to hear that the little time we gave you was valuable for you to really get those 4 to 9 housing apartments, you know, get the applications in. Judy, I think you mentioned one of your slides, the number of complaints that you guys are receiving. Wanted was to ask if we could get a breakdown type of complaints and the location where these complaints are coming in from. That'd be helpful. And you guys have the new AI system up and going for a permit. What kind of feedbacks are you getting from people using the permit system, the new permit system? And for Mike, you talked about you have about 350 vacant blighted property, I think it was. And how many of those will possibly go over to the land bank? So to, you know, decrease the cost for you to, you know, for you to decrease the cost of maintaining and finding these blighted property. And do you have an idea what the cost, you know, for these vacant blighted property? Are any of those complaints coming in from their sidewalks not being shoveled if they're vacant or blighted and so on and so forth? And what is the cost of the city, you know, if the sidewalks are not maintained for those vacant properties? If you could get that information to us, that'd be for me, that would be really great.
Yeah, so I'll just clarify, the 350 vacant properties that we're tracking, those are not owned by the city. We're tracking what's going on 350 privately owned vacant properties, because our goal is to get those occupied, restored to constructive use. And a lot of them are not in bad condition, and so we've sort of triaged and come up with a method of which properties need to be addressed first, which owners need to be addressed first. We own much less of a number of properties within our city inventory. A lot of those are vacant lots, but you know, the price to the city of these vacant properties that are not being supervised is that they attract all kinds of illegal activity. that costs us money to respond to. You know, our police, our first responders are going to have to go there whenever somebody overdoses on the property because they found a safe place where they want to shoot up, or, you know, they have to arrest, do a prostitution sting. But, you know, in short, people that are up to no good will gravitate towards these properties because they look like they're not being supervised. They look like sort of safe harbors where they can go and engage in what they want to do without being seen. And so we want to
Mike, I
sort
didn't
of,
mean to cut you, but
yep.
unfortunately, we have to end our meeting to get ready for the public hearing at 7 p.m. So can we reach out to you and speak with you offline to get more information on those 350 vacant privately-owned properties?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I look forward to it, and I will send you our tracker, which has all of those along with some other valuable information.
Okay.
And I look forward to hearing from you guys.
Thank you so very much. I would say to come to Mr. Alker, the director, beautiful presentation, sir. Your staff make you look good.
Thank you. Thank you. They do every day. Anything that I've got is
Exactly.
because they're doing good
So
work.
very well
Appreciate
done.
that.
Very, very, very well done. Very educational. So seeing that we have no other items on the agenda, I hope Grace is still with us. You learned a lot about what's going on within the city. I am going to adjourn the meeting and get ready for a public hearing in about 3-4 minutes. So good night, everyone. Thank you so very much, Judith and Michael, for your presentation.
Our
Have a
pleasure.
good
Thank
evening,
you, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you, Madam Chair.